Hey guys, Chris here with Work to Game, and Nintendo has been getting a ton of press lately. They've been shattering all kinds of sales records. they've had an incredible year in the games they've launched, in the games that they're talking about launching, in the console that obviously is leading a lot of this charge, and in their kind of impact on the industry. They've come out and they've said a lot of things that they won't do, right, that other companies do. Say, oh, well, that's which direction we have to go to make money. And so they've really put their foot down on a lot of things. And the amount of capital they have and the fact that gaming is really their only space has given them a lot of that, right? They're not answering to a bunch of investors that maybe see gaming as just a single division of the company. And so they don't really have to worry about alarming anybody. You know, if they say they want to do what's best for gaming, that's not shocking coming out of Nintendo. As opposed to Microsoft, it's a little bit, why are you catering to this crowd? This is a piece of your revenue, but across the board, your impact is much, much larger. And so I'm actually going to be following along with this Quartz article, and it's been updated and things like that. And so I just want to follow along because I think it makes a couple of interesting points. And so it starts off by pointing out how much Nintendo's gone up, how much Nintendo is doing well, but also that gaming console sales from 2009 to now have really done nothing but drop. And so, you know, we see that shift in Xbox, right? Now, instead of coming out with a whole new generation of Xboxes and all that development, they say, well, let's just keep the Xbox we have, and let's do the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X. And that's a way to kind of keep from alienating, because people don't seem to be willing to go out and buy a whole new platform all the time. We're seeing the same with PlayStation, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro. So for Nintendo to come out with a whole new console, part of that pressure was that they didn't want to be on the Wii U anymore. They've already, you know, they're crushing what the Wii U was doing at this point. The Switch was a chance to hit the reset button, but the Switch does a lot of unique things. It combines that mobile, which is where a lot of things are headed. It's easy to access. Of course, it comes with their great IP, and so the question becomes, how are they able to achieve something with a console that nobody else seems to be able to do? You know, you see Steam not able to launch a console. You see Xbox having to kind of build iterations on theirs, and so the Switch just seems to be crushing everything but pretty much phones. And the answer, of course, I already pointed to is Zelda, 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 Zelda. Because Zelda actually outsold the console. That seems to be the obvious thing, but I don't know if that's totally the case, because they were really clever in how they launched. Once they knew that they had a hit, there was no reason to release all the other hits. They slow played them, because I was already buying a console for Zelda, and so dropping Mario, you know, back when I got my Switch, would have just given me nothing to be excited about in the holiday season. So holding on to that, yes, it's easy to point at Zelda, but you know, if you have a first-string player that can take your team to victory in the first half all by themselves, you can hold on to your other first-stringers, right? And you can keep them on the bench to keep them safe from being fatigued, keep them safe from being injured, and you can hold on to them and put them in the second half. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad, right? So yes, I would say Zelda is important, but I would also say their lineup across the board is phenomenal. Mario Kart, Splatoon has done well. You know, we're talking about possible Pokemon games next year. Across the board, we're seeing this partnership between them and their developers mature in a way that's fostering just good content. And so I think it'll carry the Switch well into next year, maybe the year after, before we see any form of a slowdown, just based on the patterns we're seeing so far. The next thing that it talks about is how buying patterns for consoles have changed, and how the average age in 2004 was 29. By 2011, that's 37. That makes sense, right? Us gamers are aging. I just turned 30. Gaming wasn't in my family until me, and so as I get older, that average age of a gamer is increasing. And where they say the average age of a video game player, what they're really talking about is video game sales. And so it's not that there aren't young video gamers to bring that age down, it's that most young, you know, my parents' neighbors, he loves when I come visit for the holidays or whatever, because I'll bring a couple consoles over there and let him play on them, because he has an Xbox 360 and a PS3. Because he's under the age of 10, and that's good enough, and his parents bought that for him, and that's a way to watch their budget. You know, he's at an age where he's probably getting new clothes every other month, and so they've got plenty of expenditures without him caring whether or not he's on the newest console. But he likes that he gets to play on mine. because I do have all the newest consoles. I do have a PS4. I do have an Xbox One and an Xbox One X. I do have a Nintendo Switch. And where that comes from is stay in school, kids. I stayed in school. I work a lot of hours. I have multiple times in my adult career had multiple jobs running at the same time. And I work very hard, and currently my wife and I don't have kids. And so I have this disposable income after I'm done setting aside for retirement, paying towards debt, all these things that when I decide this amount of my budget wants to go to fun things, gaming is a big part of that for me. And so as an adult, you quickly realize, okay, we could go, visit Napa and go drink wine, and that could be several $1,000s. Or I could buy an Xbox, and that could be only a couple $100s. And so it's very easy for me to own a lot of that. So it makes sense to me that the average gamer is getting older because we're all getting older, right? My first Nintendo was bought for me by my dad, and really it was for him. It was the year I was born, and so my Nintendo is the same age I am, and my dad didn't keep buying consoles. He told me, all I can remember as a kid was being told, it's just a phase, they'll move on to the next thing, they'll go back to caring about sports or whatever, and that's just not been the case. And so then the question becomes, will it save Nintendo? And they talk about how revenue has been dropping, but that profits are actually back on the rise. They've been very slim. And so, yes, they may be bringing less revenue than they were in 2008, but that also makes sense. It's easy to see that stuff, but people forget that games do very, very well in recessions. Because we talk about things like MMOs where I can pay pennies per hour for entertainment. I can't go on a ski trip. I can't go visit my family. I can't go to a country I've never been before. I can't go see a national capital or a state park that takes a plane ride to get there and then a rental car. Because those things are expensive. And so historically, at least from the stats I've seen, and stats are all in the eye of the beholder, it's very hard to get enough stats that you can really get the context, but that games do very well when people are broke. It's just an easy, affordable thing to stay at home. You avoid gas and you avoid all the expenses of going out to eat, staying in hotels. By staying at home and playing video games, you can keep yourself pacified, entertained, and you don't spend a lot of money. So to see it dipping down, but to see profits rise makes sense. I'm not worried about Nintendo. They have a huge amount of capital. They're going to be just fine. And so really the criticism is from, this quartz media, and you'll see it from business magazines and economists and stuff, is they're like, oh, you have to push mobile, you have to push mobile, you need to be on phones, you need to release your IP. And that comes from their knowledge of economy. That comes from their knowledge of other industries and trends they've taken and how you have to keep up. But gaming is a little different. You look at things like this and, it's not really fair. You have to look at it's an experience, and I go to Nintendo for an experience. It's their console, it's their game, it's their attitude, it's everything. And so if you start diluting that and letting every platform get their IP, there's a real risk for them. I don't know. So I don't know that economists are right in saying that when you see them saying, oh, they're doing well now, but it'll fail, it'll fail. I don't know that it will. I think the question is, can they adopt a new generation? Because part of what props Nintendo up is that their demographic is aging, right? We all grew up with Nintendo. And so the real risk that they do have if they don't get Nintendo products back in people's hands, which is what the Switch is doing, is getting kids to fall in love with it, right? When some of my friends' kids talk about Rayman the same way I used to talk about Mario, there's a real danger there, right? Because I will play Mario just for this throwback value. And so I just wanted to kind of, look back over the year and see kind of what do you guys think Nintendo's up to? Do you think that they're doing really well? The Switch seems like an obvious winner, but do you think it's sustainable next year? I would say the answer is yes, but that could just be my prediction and what I want to happen. And so I would love to hear from you guys. This is Chris with Work to Game. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.
Hey guys, it's me. Thanks so much for watching this video, and we hope to see you on our next.
Is there anywhere you think they could see us in the meantime?
Well, right now you probably can catch us out on Twitch. We usually stream quite a lot. So the link is in the description below for our Twitch page. And if you guys want to support us and you like what we do here on YouTube, you can actually support us for free by using your Twitch Prime sub if you're Amazon Prime.